words, man. That was right on. In fact, Bob Macy's and I were sitting over here talking about how many conventions we've been through over the past 20 plus years. And I started off as a county chairman years ago, so I know what you guys are going through. Thank you for all your work. I was reminiscing earlier, the first time I was a delegate, it was to the then 7th Congressional District, and our congressman was Congressman Bob Barr. And Bob, I want to thank you for your leadership, for your conservative ideology that has led the way. And it's really set a standard in Congress for conservatives like me. And Bob, also thank you for your support and your endorsement of my campaign. That really, really means a lot. I grew up not far from here, a little town called Riverdale. Back then it was a long way from Atlanta. My dad was a World War II veteran, and he instilled in me a set of convictions and principles that I still live by today. One of those, he said, never complain. If there's something in life you don't like, you have two choices. You can do something to change the situation, or just accept the status quo and go on with your life. But complaining never changes anything. That was one of the reasons I ran for Congress 2 years. That was the predominant reason I ran for Congress 2 years ago, because, quite frankly, there's a lot of stuff I don't like. We had a broken system that no longer represented the will and the interest of the people, that often ignored the Constitution, a deteriorating military, a commander-in-chief that had turned it into a social engineering lab, not a force to preserve and protect our liberties. Terrorists are coming to the United States, killing Americans, threatening our liberties. A continual bombardment of regulations and taxes on our businesses and on hardworking taxpayers. And as we mentioned earlier, $20 trillion in debt. $20 trillion in debt. These are things that I felt were the most dangerous to our nation, including the growth and expansion of government taking our liberties, trying to enforce the government's interpretation of morality upon individuals and businesses. We saw a growth in government. I believe our children deserve better than what we're passing on to them. But when I first got to Congress, I found that one of the biggest problems we had was a system that was broken. Now, I got there with the idea we're going to fix things. But when I got there, I was given some advice, as I expected I would give, is, look, as a freshman, you can't accomplish anything. You need to not create any waves. You need to sit back, listen, and learn. You're a backbencher. They even told me to quit wearing boots. It made a political statement. You know, maybe I needed to make a political statement because I was there to make a difference, to make a change, and turn the nation back around. The first thing we saw is the system was broken. It was top down, not bottom up. One person controlled everything, controlled the agenda. Members of Congress weren't members of Congress, they were placeholders, and we needed to change that. Now, the first thing I did, the first official vote that I took, created waves. Because when the conference met together to nominate our candidate for Speaker, I was one of three that stood up and voted against our current Speaker, John Boehner. Now, when it came to the floor vote, we needed to change. When it came to the floor vote, of course, I voted for our nominee to block any chance of Nancy Pelosi being Speaker, but we never gave up. A group of us constitutional conservatives got together and knew that one person in Congress can't accomplish anything, but when we unify under a common idea and a common goal, we can accomplish a lot. So we created the House Freedom Caucus, and we never stopped, and today, we have new leadership in the House of Representatives, and we are actively changing the entire system so that every member of Congress can take their ideas and represent their people, and we are effectively changing the culture in the House of Representatives today. And along the way, I proved that they were wrong about that backbencher comment about a freshman congressman. Because a major media outlet, right after we forced John Boehner out of office, wrote a column that said, Barry Loudermilk, in less than a year, has gone from a backbencher to one of the most effective and influential members of the 114th Congress. We proved them wrong. Another problem that we saw is Congress no longer exercised its constitutional authorities under Article 1 of the Constitution. We no longer had a power of the purse. We only controlled about 35% of the spending. We were not utilizing our investigatory and oversight powers or our impeachment powers, and we saw that needed to change. So together with Senator Mike Lee of Utah, we formed the Article 1 Project, and right now we are reinstituting the Article 1 powers that the Constitution gives to Congress to take back control of the runaway government for the people of the United States. We have been more aggressively in holding the government accountable. I've become known as the attack dog on a couple of the committees at the way I go after these bureaucrats. And let me tell you, we have uncovered corruption, we have uncovered wasteful spending, and we have uncovered abuse of power, and we are working to correct that. In fact, Citizens Against Government Waste, when they came out with their rankings just a couple of weeks ago, ranked Barry Loudermilk of the 11th Congressional District from Georgia as, of all 435 members of Congress, the most aggressive in cutting government waste and spending. Freedom Works, in their endorsement of our re-election, said Barry Loudermilk is the best of the next generation freedom fighters, and that's a freshman member of Congress. Last month, I introduced a balanced budget amendment to the Constitution, not only to force Congress to live within its means, but it also reins in all government appropriations, all government revenues, and all government spending, once again, under the power of the Congress. So once again, we have the power of the person. We can rein in an out-of-control government. But my dad told me this. He said, don't tell people what you're going to do. You just do it and let them talk about it. Now, I've told you what some have said. In the next few weeks, you're going to hear more. American Conservative Union has endorsed me as one of the highest rated members of Congress. National Right to Life, 100% rating for my relentless pursuit to save the life of the unborn. The National Rifle Association. And yesterday, spent time on the phone with my good friend, General Jerry Boykin, one of the founders of Delta Force, who's now with Family Research Council. And he said, Barry, of all the best we have in Washington, D.C., you are one of the best. Keep fighting the good fight. We're with you. I'm going to ask you to send me one more time, just so we can complete the drill. And I will not stop fighting the status quo until we have returned America back to the people who it belongs, we the people of the United States. God bless you. God bless America. May 24th, that's your standing